Okay, so mainstream media is dying, folks. In the next probably 8 to maybe even 5 years, it's not going to be here. And what the government wants to do is basically fast track the BBC, ITV, Channel 4 and Channel 5 to the main front page of everything regarding the internet. They're trying to fast track their position because when it comes to mainstream media, these pretty much 4 to 5 conglomerates are number one. They don't want to basically have to now transition to the internet and become number 372. Why? Because you've now got Osmond Gold, who's got the interview's attention, Hassan Abbey, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Piers Morgan. They don't want to have to compete for your attention and viewpoint. They want to just have their special space on the internet when they transition over that everybody is forced to listen to. I'm going to have a quick read of this post. It says, the UK is trying to change the YouTube algorithm forever. The UK proposed a rule that forces YouTube to rank the BBC, ITV, Channel 4 and Channel 5 above everyone else. It sits inside a consultation called Watch This Space. The government calls it a prominence regime. What it does is simple. 4 national broadcasters get locked into the top positions. Every other channel drops down the list. The YouTube homepage holds a fixed amount of attention, so when a rule like this shows 4 news stations to the top, your videos move down following fewer people to see it. Fewer people click, your channel gets slower or it stops. YouTube built its whole system on one rule. The video people actually want to watch is the video that wins. It reads clicks, watch time, shares and likes, and it sends new viewers to channels they never searched for. That is how small channels find an audience it did not have yesterday. And it says this proposal deletes that rule and hands the ranking to a government. The question stops being what the viewer wants and becomes what the government wants the viewer to see. Okay, so for those who don't know, when it comes to mainstream media now, the only people that are pretty much watching it are the baby boomers, all right? Baby boomers are what I'd say youngest 75, and they go up to basically 80, 90, 85 years old on average, like a lot of the baby boomers now, roughly, or something like that. In the next 5 to 10 years, the baby boomers are not going to be here. And then once they go, who's going to be watching mainstream media? Who's going to be keeping the ratings up? Who's going to be watching Coronation Street and Emmerdale Farm, EastEnders? A few young'uns, well, not young'uns, but a few of my generation, millennials, watch EastEnders, but as far as that goes, most people that watch mainstream media are old people, elderly. My generation and younger, we got smartphones, YouTube, X. We watch our shows independently on YouTube. So the government knows that, they're babies that support the government, do the government's bidding. BBC One, BBC Two, ITV, Channel 4. They're not going to really have any leverage going forward once they fully transition over to the internet in regards to galvanizing people's attention. And without those conglomerates, the government don't stand a chance in having somebody that's going to be truly in their corner, rooting them, supporting them. And clearly the government doesn't want, the viewpoints to be left to Tucker Carlson or Piers Morgan or even a me. I've only got 1,000 followers, but anyhow I be consistent. Just say I blow up one day and I've got 400,000 to 500,000 followers and I'm getting views and then I start becoming political. The government's afraid of that. They're afraid of just the random person being able to topple a main media conglomerate. So what the government basically wants to do, they want to fast track the mainstream media outlets, especially the news outlets. They want to fast track those people above the independent YouTuber content creators. Basically, they want to behave as if the BBC started on YouTube when YouTube first released, and then they've just been grinding on YouTube since day one. They want to present themselves as if that's happened, like a fast track process. So for those who don't know, if you have Freeview, I'm talking to the really young lot that have never seen this. But on Freeview, when you first turn on Freeview in the UK, what's the first channel? BBC One. What's the second channel? BBC Two. What's the third one? ITV. The fourth one, Channel 4. The fifth one, Channel 5. And then everything else follows after that. You can have MTV on channel 200. I don't know, Fox News on channel 256. They basically want to take that system and then copy that system onto the internet, where as soon as you go onto any social media platform that's to do with any form of video media, the government wants you to see, especially in the UK, the BBC first. They want you to see BBC 2 second. They just basically at the top, you've got the main channels that you can watch television on, and everything else follows. Do I agree with this? Of course I don't. And the reason why I don't agree with this is because I heard somebody say in another post that they want to do this whole verified media versus non-verified media. And whether people want to agree with this or not, we've had scenarios where mainstream media has misled and lied. You know, we've had scenarios where mainstream media doesn't present the right information of what's gone on, especially with after 9/11, when one of the notorious examples, George Bush and Tony Blair, where we were lied to, saying that there was weapons of mass destruction in the Middle East, and then they went and killed over 1 million innocent people in Iraq. The media never spoke about that in regards to showing us what really happened. The media was just telling us, oh no, we're just going over there to get terrorists. It's only terrorists. And we believed it was just terrorists. Lo and behold, 15, 20 years later, we now know the truth. So you can't trust mainstream media the same way you can't necessarily trust a Piers Morgan or a Tucker Carlson or an Osman Goals or a Hassan Abbey. There's always going to be a natural bias. The key is to have both propaganda and the truth, and it's your job to do thorough research to funnel out the propaganda. But that's the beauty of being a human being. But as far as like these mainstream media conglomerates, they just don't want to have to compete with a random body, a random nobody who's just got famous because they've just grinded every day. They do not want to have to compete. They're saying scrap the whole trying to convince the audience that the BBC has more credibility than Hassan Abbey. No. We just want to bypass all of that, and we're going to put in a law that forces YouTube to bypass everyone. We're not entertaining that. We're the top dogs from mainstream media, and we want to come over to the internet and be the same top dog. That's all this is about. But anyway, just a quick one. Let me know what you guys think. Like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one, all right?